Okay, well, this lesson is 1.3, found on page 16 in your textbook. And last lesson was talking about adding integers, and now we're talking about subtracting integers. And I would say adding and subtracting integers could both be grouped under the same thing as just combining integers. Here it says to subtract an integer, add its opposite. So instead of 3 minus 4, we would have that's the same as 3 plus a negative 4. Where we keep the first number, we turn it into the adding the opposite of the second number. So instead of subtracting, we're adding, and the opposite of 4 is negative 4. Well, now we just have 3 plus a negative 4, different sign subtract, so we get 1, and we keep the sign of the larger number, which is the 4 in this case, so negative 1. That's one way to do this. I like to look at 3 minus 4 as just a positive 3. See how there's nothing out in front, so that means it's positive. And a negative 4. So we're combining a 3 and a negative 4. Just kind of like we were right here, combining a 3 and a negative 4. And by combining, I mean adding. So we're combining a 3 and a negative 4. We get negative 1. Okay, so let's look at their first example here. Find 3 minus 12. And again, I'm going to look at that as combining 3 and a negative 12. So when I combine 3 and negative 12, I'm thinking of this. Different sign subtract, so I get 9. 12 take away 3 is 9. And I keep the sign of the 12 because it's got the larger absolute value, so negative 9. Down here, it says find negative 8 minus a negative 13. And here's the one rule that we have for subtraction that makes it different than addition. When you have these two minuses right next to each other, whenever you have two minuses, minus a negative, I take it and I make that into a big plus. So instead of minus a negative, it looks just like a big plus. Because if we were going to turn this into add the opposite, it would be adding 13. So if you always just turn those into a big plus, it's the same as adding the opposite. So now we have negative 8 plus 13. Okay, we took both of those negatives away when we made that plus. So it's negative 8 plus 13. Now I have different signs, so I subtract and get 5. And I keep the sign of the larger, which in this case is the positive, so it's positive 5. One more. Oh, two minuses next to each other. I'm going to make that into a big plus before I do anything else. And it just became 5 plus 4, which is 9. Now you've got some problems that you can do on your own. Okay, so number 1, 8 minus 3, and I know you're thinking 8 minus 3 is 5. I learned that in second grade. Great. Well, let's look at it right now as positive 8, negative 3. Okay, so that negative goes with that 3. So I have 8 and negative 3. Different sign subtract. Keep the sign of the larger number, which would be positive. Here I have 9 and negative 17. So I'm going to combine these two, different signs, so I subtract. And I keep the sign of the 17 this time, which is negative because I had a larger absolute value. Here I have negative 3 minus 3. A lot of kids will put 0 for that, but look, we've got a negative 3 and another negative 3. Same sign, so I add and keep. Remember, same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract. Here's another same sign. I have two negatives. 14 and 9 is 23, and I keep it negative. Same sign, add and keep. Number 5, I take these two minuses and make it into a big plus, and the problem just became 9 plus 8, which is 17. And finally, negative 12 minus negative, two minuses, make it a big plus. I have a negative 12 and a positive 12. Different signs subtract. Keep the sign of the larger one, but they're the same. 0 is neither negative nor positive, The answer is 0. For the next example, they have subtracting integers, and they've given us 3 numbers here. So negative 7 minus a negative 12 minus 14. And again, 2 minuses next to each other, turn that into a big plus. So now what do we have? We have a negative 7, we have a positive 12, we have a negative 14. Okay? Negative 7, a positive 12, a negative 14. So we can go from left to right. Negative 7 plus 12 will give us a positive 5. Different sign, subtract. Keep the sign of the larger, so positive 5. Minus 14. And now I have different signs, so I subtract to get 9, and I keep it negative for the 14. So we have negative 9 for our final answer. Here's a couple for you to try. We'll see how you do. Okay, so the first one, number 7 here, where I look at this and I say I have a negative 9, I have a negative 16, and I have a negative 8. Well, they're all negatives. That's nice. So negative 9 plus negative 16, same sign, add and keep, and I still have this negative 8. Same sign, add and keep. So my final answer is negative 33. Similarly, I have a negative 4, a negative 20, a negative 9. So negative 4 minus 20, or a negative 4 and a negative 20, will give me a negative 24. Same sign, so I add the numbers and I keep the sign. Same sign, add and keep. Again, same sign, add and keep. I get 33, negative 33. Number 9. 0 minus 9 minus a negative 5. So I see I have 2 minuses there. I make it into a big plus. I have a 0 and a negative 9 that I'm combining. So negative 9 plus 0, anything I combine with 0 just stays the same. So it's just negative 9 plus 5. Well, I don't have the same sign here. Different signs. So I subtract, and I keep the sign of the larger absolute value, which is the 9 here. So negative 4. Number 10. I see these, I immediately do this. Awesome. Well, I have negative 8 plus 6, so different signs. So I subtract, and I keep the sign of the 8 because it's got a larger absolute value. Minus 0, and anything minus 0 just stays the same, so it's just negative 2. Number 11. I see 2 minuses, so I make it into a big plus. And now I have positive 15, positive 20, negative 20. And I would normally do these two first, but I've got a positive 20 and a negative 20 here. And I know when I combine opposites, I get 0. So it just became 15 all by itself. Or 15 plus 0, which is just 15. And number 12, negative 14, negative 9, negative 36. So we'll go from left to right. Negative 14 and negative 9, when combined, give you, because same sign, add the numbers to get 23 and keep the sign. Again, same sign, so I add the numbers and I keep the sign. All right.